We are now going to be in a world where there's one currency everywhere, Bitcoin. Ultimately, Jeff Booth is right. Inflation's history. In a world where we are hyper-Bitcoinized, we are deflating. What's the rate of deflation? I don't know. Could be 5%. DeFi is going to basically eat TradFi. Banks are going to die.
As traditional financial systems face unprecedented challenges, Bitcoin's dominance appears inevitable, with its price poised to reach unprecedented height. This bold prediction comes from Wall Street veteran and mathematician Fred Krueger, who envisions a future shaped by Bitcoin's transformative power. As Bitcoin and decentralized finance continue to gain momentum, traditional banks and financial institutions may find themselves increasingly sidelined. In this new era, the manipulation of fiat currencies will become a thing of the past. Borrowing costs will align directly with Bitcoin's value, ushering in a more transparent and efficient financial system. This shift could redefine global finance, paving the way for a decentralized and equitable economic landscape. Stay tuned until the end of the video as Fred Krueger reveals his 10 key predictions on Bitcoin's rise, the decline of traditional finance, and the profound changes Bitcoin is set to bring to the global economy.
Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.
I started putting just a few question marks out like, hey, where do you, in world of just Bitcoin, where are interest rates? And people are like, there can't be any borrowing. I'm like, what do you mean there can't be any borrowing? They're like, no, it's impossible. We're going to have deflation. I'm like, okay, we have deflation, but people are going to need to continue to borrow. They're going to need to build houses, and they're going to need to buy houses, and they're going to need to borrow money for businesses. So we're not going to stop life just because we're in this Bitcoin world. So I thought about it more, and I posted this poll. I said, where do you think interest rates are going to be in a Bitcoin-only world? And people were like all over the map. Some people said 2%, some people said 0%, some people said 6%, other people said it's going to be extremely high. And, I sort of thought about it a little bit, and then I basically started really this thought experiment, and this is kind of the conclusions that I came up with. Okay, so the first seems a little bit obvious, but it's actually very subtle, right? Which is short rates will no longer be determined by the Fed. So, for as long as I've been alive, and as long as my father's been alive, it's always been, don't fight the Fed controls short rates. And, Joe Carlos-Ali will say, they control the short rates, but they don't control the long rates. Very true. But they do have this complete and utter power to set the interest rate in the short term. That goes away with Bitcoin, because if we're in a complete Bitcoin world where there is no fiat, there's just one currency, Bitcoin, really central banks can't determine interest rates. So I think that at this point becomes a worldwide market for capital. And there's interest rates for various creditworthy people, but there's no sort of short-term risk-free rate like we're so accustomed to now. So point number 2 is basically we're going to have this myriad of worldwide interest rates. Some will be very low. Some people are going to be able to borrow extremely low. Others are going to have to pay a very, very high price. It really depends on who you are, what kind of company you are, what kind of individual you are, what kind of government you are. Interest rates could be all over the map. Point number 3 is ultimately, Jeff Booth is right. Inflation's history. In a world where we are hyper-Bitcoinized, we are deflating. What's the rate of deflation? I don't know. Could be 5%. I don't know. Definitely people will save. Some people say, well, are they going to say they're not going to consume anything? No, people will still consume. We're humans. We consume. We buy houses. We send our kids to college. We do all these things. That's what we do as humans. So we're definitely not just saving. But we'll do a lot of saving, right? Especially if we know that there's no inflation and things get cheaper. Point number 4 is we're really going to be in a global world, right? So right now we have, if you're in the US, you care about what the Fed does. You care about the dollar. You don't really care about the yen. I mean, you might follow the yen. You might go to Japan and go, oh, wow, things are cheap because the dollar's strong relative to the yen. But, really those are two separate economies. That's not going to be the case, right? Because we are now going to be in a world where there's one currency everywhere, Bitcoin. Every business is going to have to compete worldwide for funds. Now, a business in Argentina, it may be well known to the Argentinians, but not well known to the Germans. So there will still be local lending because they understand the business better. People in Argentina may understand the value, the collateral of real estate better than somewhere else in the world. But we're going to deal with a single currency, and so it's going to be a world issue.
Fred Krueger predicts that global hyper-Bitcoinization is inevitable, and recent developments suggest the world is already heading in that direction. Dennis Porter, co-founder and CEO of the Satoshi Action Fund, a group dedicated to helping lawmakers craft and implement Bitcoin policies, recently disclosed that several nations have sought assistance in establishing national Bitcoin reserve. This growing interest has been further fueled by the pro-crypto stance of President-elect Trump's administration, prompting other countries to explore a closer alignment with Bitcoin. Porter, who has collaborated with state and national lawmakers in the U.S. and supported initiatives like the Blockchain Basics Act, sees this as a pivotal moment for Bitcoin adoption on a nation-state level. He remarked, "Nation-states are moving rapidly, it's all happening much faster than expected. The momentum for strategic Bitcoin reserves is incredible. History is being made." What are your thoughts on this groundbreaking shift? Share your opinions in the comments below. Now, let's return to Fred Krueger as he delves deeper into his 10 predictions about Bitcoin's future and its impact on the global economy.
Point number 5 is it's going to be extremely collateral heavy. It's one thing to sort of say, well, I'm going to get the government to kind of bail me out, or the government can print money forever, or if something goes really wrong, they're going to send me a lifeline. The bank's going to bail me out. All this stuff. That will stop. We're going to be in a world where, defaults happen, and so I think that world is going to go back to being heavily collateralized. You can borrow, you can get Bitcoin against your house, but your house equity will be scrutinized. You want to borrow for a business? Well, prospects of your business are going to be looked at very carefully. You're a government, we're going to check how good a government, how good are you running your shop? So that's that. The next point is, if you're really great, just like now, you're going to get very, very low yields. But they're going to be close to zero. Because unlike now where you have to bake in whatever the Fed's charging, no, if you're Apple or Google or something like that, you're going to be able to borrow at essentially zero, right? Because there's no sort of risk-free rate. The best companies will have the lowest rates on the planet. Point number 7, I think, is that DeFi is going to basically eat TradFi. So once we've really gone this route of programmable world money, there's going to be all these kind of DeFi things where people's online credit scores get passed in through DeFi engines. You're going to have decentralized loans, and lending is going to become a worldwide thing, and it's going to be done by machines, and it's going to be done by AI. So I don't think TradFi is going to necessarily win in this world. I think it's going to be DeFi. It's going to be automated. It's going to be anonymous, or it's going to be I won't say anonymous, but it's going to be, you won't need to go meet somebody to do any of this stuff. It'll just be click a button. Point number 8 is going to be survival of the fittest. There won't be any room for zombie companies that just got to where they are by being close to the money printer. That stuff's going to go away. Everything's going to get much more productive and innovative. And point number 9, that applies to governments as well. So if you're doing these socialistic programs like France is doing right now, or Japan, nobody's going to want to lend you money. And that means your yield's going to go through the roof. And don't even think about doing QE or anything else. You can't do it. You can't print money anymore. You have no means of being fiscally irresponsible. And the last point is that all this is just terrible for banks. Banks are going to die. I mean, they're not going to quite die, but basically it's like record stores. You don't see a whole lot of them right now. I think they're going to, you don't see a lot of video rental stores either. I think banks, we don't need them. They're going to, at best, be sort of low margin custody operations. They're not going to employ all these people. And that is roughly my presentation for today. Obviously, it's just a work in progress. I hope you enjoyed it.
A recent report from CryptoSlate highlights a growing divide in global economic health, sparking questions about the future of fiat currencies and the rise of Bitcoin. While inflation rates remain relatively stable in advanced economies, around 1.8% in the euro area, 2.5% in the US, and 2.2% in the UK, emerging markets like Argentina and Turkey are grappling with hyperinflation, eroding trust in traditional currencies. To combat inflation, advanced economies have reduced interest rates, while nations like Argentina and Turkey have implemented extreme measures, with interest rates soaring as high as 40% to 50%. This economic disparity has fueled discussions around hyperbitcoinization, the concept of Bitcoin replacing traditional currencies amid high debt levels and flawed monetary policies. Hyperbitcoinization is expected to unfold in 3 phases, starting with Bitcoin as an investment, transitioning to broader adoption for transactions, and ultimately becoming a global currency, particularly in countries facing severe financial crises. Currently, the transition is in its early stages, with economic challenges, unsustainable debt, and advancements in Bitcoin technology driving adoption. Countries like El Salvador have already made Bitcoin legal tender, and technological improvements like the Lightning Network are enhancing Bitcoin's scalability, making it a more viable financial alternative. As global institutions and governments increasingly recognize Bitcoin's potential, its role in the financial system is likely to grow. However, the shift from fiat to Bitcoin will depend on the continued erosion of trust in traditional systems and the maturation of Bitcoin's technology and regulatory framework. With these developments underway, the future of global finance may be on the brink of a significant transformation. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.